For our games design workshop, we were asked to recreate the board game Battleships to make it more interesting for the player. This is because the gameplay in Battleships is often very random and there isn't a lot of strategy involved because you're just guessing what your enemy's ships are. Unless you actually manage to hit a ship, you don't get much of a clue as to where they are placed. So I have added in a couple of new rules to try and make it more interesting for both players and also to allow for a bit more strategy. This version of the game can be played on the actual board from the original game itself, but it can also be played on paper, as you can see here. For the paper version of the game, each player starts off with two 10x10 grids, with the top line being marked from 1 to 10 and the line at the side being marked from A to J, as these will be your coordinates. The top grid is for your enemy ships, and here you will keep track of any shots you fire at your enemy with knots and crosses. The knots represent a miss, while the crosses represent a hit. And then on your grid, you will place your own ships, and you will also keep track of the shots that your enemy fires at you. Each player will get 5 ships, and each ship covers 3 squares. The ships can be placed vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. And the ships can also be placed right beside each other if the player wants. I thought that this would make for a bit more strategy, because as you can see, these ships all line together across 3 different squares. So for example, if your enemy hits you here, here and here, they would think that that's a full ship, but actually it isn't. And so then they would have to work out the best way to attack you. Also, as you can see, with a place being shipped diagonally, in order to sink the ship, you have to hit it in the middle square, and the squares at either end are placed on. I also thought this would be a lot more interesting because if you hit the middle square straight away, you won't know exactly what direction to go in. So I thought then that would waste a lot of the other players' time trying to figure out where your ship is so you can try to beat them. Another feature that I've added to hopefully try to make it a bit more interesting is something called near miss. Now near miss is whenever your enemy hits a square here or here that's right beside your ship, and if an enemy gets a near miss, you have to tell them that they have hit right beside your ship. I thought that this would give the players a bit more of an idea of where their enemy ships are, and so would help with a bit more of interesting gameplay. But it also allows for a lot of variance, because if, for example, I was hit here and I'll see my ship's there and I tell them, oh well, you almost hit me, I could either be talking from this square, this square, this square, or this square. So whilst it does give you a bit of an idea, it also still allows for a bit of the randomness, which I think can also make which I think can make Battleships quite fun, because